Greetings and salutations, Charlton66 here once again with another video. I hope everyone is doing well and everyone is enjoying the weather and different parts of the country. I know it varies this day and age, but hope everyone's enjoying their time. It's getting to be to the point of, us older comic readers are losing, some of the people that helped create our comic book world back when we were growing up. I'm sad to say, and I know you probably already heard it on Instagram, but David Anthony Kraft passed away due to COVID complications. His wife, he said he passed away holding her hand, and it was pneumonia due to the COVID disease, or whatever you want to call it. But it's sad, he was only 69. It's not old at all. Again, my condolences to the family and to the fans, to everyone who's enjoyed reading his comic books and enjoyed. He did the comic book interview, comic interview, I think, magazine. That was a David Anthony Kraft magazine that he did late 80s into the 90s, mid 80s. But it's sad. In light of that, I dug out some of my favorite Defenders. My Defenders is one of my favorite Marvel team outside of the Invaders. I love the Defenders. Nighthawk is my favorite guy. So I dug out just some favorite stories and some favorite characters and just reminisce. Some of these were bought off the stands. Some of them weren't. There's only a handful of issues here, but Defenders 48. And it also has some early Keith Giffen artwork in it. Pretty cool book. Defenders 49. Got a great cover. I think it's Milgram, if I'm not mistaken. It could, I don't know. It could be early Giffen. I can't tell. I should have looked it up beforehand, but again, it's sad. We have to appreciate, what has come before as far as comic book creators and stuff. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a Comic Con, a comic show, where the old guard sitting at the table and no one's there. But the so-called, not to be on a rant or anything, I'm not going to do that, but the so-called hot artists or writers, there's lines that are cut off, wrapped around the convention hall and wrapped around, and just to get, not even talk to the person, just to, hi, bye, thank you, get an autograph and roll on, which we're not owed anything. I'm not saying that. But if you're there, you hope to have some type of conversation. But you get these older guys, it just are just at their table, and it's sad. I mean, there'll be some people there. I'm not saying that it's just you're hearing crickets, but compared to what it's like with these newer guys, it's to me, it's not fair. We need to appreciate that, because once they're gone, all we have left is what we remembered and what's in the printed page. And for newer readers and newer people, who I don't think I have that many newer, millennials subscribe to my channel. Maybe I do. But you need to seek out these guys. You need to see the Ron Wilson when you can see him, and the Keith Pollard when you can see him, and the Paris Cones when you can see him, and other people who've been around for decades bringing us comic books. They need to be appreciated, and just to go up and shake their hand and tell them thanks. You don't even have to get anything signed. Just say thank you for being there, because without them, what we have now would not be around. So just, one of those things to think about. Defenders 51 with my boy Nighthawk getting wrapped up. It's a great cover. They got the floating heads, which is cool. And the last to fin, no, one more after this one. Number 47, I think I had these out of order. Number 47 was Wonder Man, which I like that costume. I know I'm probably in the minority in that area, but I do like that costume. The color combination, now you think of Christmas, but I like it. And the last one I read was 52, with a great Gil Kane cover. Submariner and the Hulk facing off. Been spending some time, looking at YouTube, and there's some people that I want to make you guys notice of, and I think a lot of people have already, who subscribed to me, have subscribed to Grow to Orloff's channel. Great guy, great channel. If you're into old stuff, old comic books, if you like Captain Strange Life, you like Grow to Orloff. He knows what he's talking about. He's not that old of a guy, but you think he came from the 30s and grew up in the 50s and 60s, because his knowledge is pretty intense. And he can just talk. And his videos are 1.5 to 2 hours long, most of them, other than when he drives around Grotuville, which what he calls where he's from. He calls it Grotuville, and everything reference to Grotu, so it's kind of cool. He's in character. It's in his, like he says, it's in his human form, what we see. But he just goes off and just talks, and I wish I had that gift of banter. But you can just turn him on and organize your comics or read or whatever, and just listen to him talk. And it's an interesting channel. Again, it's Grotu Orloff. If I can figure it out, I think I did it a few times where I think I nailed it down pretty good, where I can put the link, his channel, into the YouTube machine, so you guys can check him out. And like I said, one of the things he does, he takes you to drive around his town, the old hangouts and everything else, which is kind of cool. It takes you to drive around Orloffville. Grotuville, I'm sorry. Grotuville. Another one subscribed to is Graphic Man. His knowledge and what he does with comic books is incredible. He's only got like 60 subscribers or something like that, maybe 70. It's not that many, and the guy knows what he's talking about. He's an older gentleman, but a great YouTuber. Seek him out. Again, Graphic Man. He just does stuff with comics and talks about different things in comic books. Like he did one, Dogs in Comics. Talks about different the dogs that are in comic books and stuff. And talks about another looking at the graphic standpoint of having comic books on digital, which I'm not a fan of. Digital comics versus the printed page. I like to have it in my hand and check it out. But yeah, two guys you should check out, Grotu Orloff and Graphic Man. Both of them are really good YouTubers. I've been smelling the roses, like I've said in my last few videos. They smell nice. The roses kind of smell like old paper, but that's what we like. Us comic book fans and us collectors love the smell of old paper, and that's what the roses smell like. So I've been reading some stuff, jumping on to certain things I haven't read in a while, like Atomic Mouse. This is the first issue, 1953. That's a good read. I got a couple more Atomic Mouses, but I like to have in the 68 pagers that are really cool. But Atomic Mouses is a fun read. I won't go through all these comic books, but I've been reading Primus. I brought these back out. I've only got 3, 5, 6, and 7. If you don't know what Primus is, it's an Ivan Tor guy who did Flipper and other sea movies and everything else. Does a thing about a scuba diver who goes on adventures and stuff. Joe Staten does the artwork in it. Great, great cover. This was signed by Joe. Yeah, signed by Joe right up there. But they're just fun books. Like I said, Joe Staten does the whole thing. I think does Nick Cuddy. I don't know if Nick Cuddy writes them or not, or it might be Steve Skeets. No, Joe Gill. I'm sorry, the man himself, Joe Gill. Can't. I'd be remiss if I didn't. If well, I am remiss by not remembering that it's Joe Gill, who is the most prolific, probably one of the most prolific writers. Not everything is great. I'm not saying that that his stories are the best, but his output, your own automatic batting practice machine. His output is tremendous. And I think it's all through Charlton. I think they said that he would be at the typewriter, type it away, and another story would be, he'd rip it out, rip out the paper, story's done, put another one in, and just type away as if it's one continual story, but it's like 8 or 9 different stories that he just wrote out on the typewriter. Yeah, so he's pretty prolific. Yeah, but I was reading those, had those out for a little bit. And a Super Team Family, Wonder Woman and the Atom, with the awesome Secret Society of Supervillains at the bottom, which is pretty cool. I read this nice Superboy that Night Tiger sent to me in an AOK. I finally got around to reading that. I thought I had started to read it before, but I never got to it. I finally had a box that I put comics in that when I do a video, and so I haven't put them away. In other words, that's why my collection is so in such disarray, because I haven't sat down and actually, I need more boxes, and there's a shortage apparently. My comic store, the drawer boxes, I like those. It's been forever since my store's got any, so I take like 2 empty ones, go through other boxes that are full, take out series and put them in that, and that way I can have something to move around and actually categorize what I'm doing. This was awful fun. The Steve Ditko Reader, Volume 2. I finally got around to checking this out. Phenomenal. I mean, I'm sure anyone who watches my channel and is into comics knows what a master Ditko is, particularly with Light and Shadow. But it's just full of great stories, westerns, mysteries, sci-fi. Some of these I have, but the black and white, there's something about the black and white that really brings out what's going on in the story. Well, I think what Ditko really wanted to convey, I think, is really what you need to see in the black and white. This took a long time to read. Good stuff. Enjoyed it a lot. And I think I found this for $5. It retails for $25, but a dealer had it for like $5, which was really, really cool. I'm sorry, my head gets really big. I'm putting stuff down there. It's one of the things when you run out of room and you gotta put stuff in certain places. Another thing, been going through some of my that I can get to right now. Some of the stuff in my collection, particularly with the Pulps. Big Pulp fan. I don't have a lot of original Pulps. Most of the stuff I do have some originals. I got maybe 50 Pulps, maybe. The rest of the stuff, which I have 10 times more of paperbacks. Adventure House, who did, which I'm going to show in a second, who did reprints, facsimile of those Pulps. Um, that's where I usually get, because you get a pulp, you get a high-end pulp, you pay a few $100s and you can't read it because it falls apart. Anyone who collects pulps know about that. They know that it falls apart, and what can you do? So one of the things that I did read from High Adventure, which was put out by Venture House. This is and this was out of Silver Spring, Maryland, which the town I grew up in once I moved here from Indiana. Grew up in Silver Spring. This company, I think it's now defunct, or it was bought out by somebody else. I don't know for sure. But this was Captain Satan, um, which is a cool character. I mean, it's really pulp. I mean, it's got the pulp feel. This guy, his name is Carrie Adair. It's his real name, but his men, like, you read Doc Savage or you read The Shadow or you read, other pulps that have men or a team of guys that work with the main character. It's usually more structured. This is not. They're more like a gang than they are a structured, um, you know, uh, uh, what am I trying to say? More of a structured asset to him. Like they're more like a gang, but they go after bad guys. But it doesn't. You never know when he became Captain Satan. You didn't know why. Usually pulp characters have a origin story. The Shadow, you don't know what goes on with him until it's peppered throughout the history of the pulp, of the stories of the Shadow, who he is, what he's done, why he's doing what he's doing. It just doesn't come out and say it. And the Living Shadow, you have to read all the stories to get a gist of what the Shadow's about. But you don't know how he got his money. We know Doc Savage was born into money, and he's got the Hidalgo gold and everything else. We know all that. Richard Benson, the Avenger, we know he's got money because he was a millionaire before the tragedy happened that turned him into the Avenger. But it's pretty cool. It's got the original illustrations. I think it's got the ads in there too. I think there's some ads, even though they were small. There's Captain Satan himself, the man. There's our man there. Trying to see if there's any ads. I don't know who does the illustrations for this, but it's a pretty good story. It's violent, just like the pulp should be. Here's one for the spider at the bottom of this one. The spider is another cool pulp character. And G8 and his Battle Aces. I love G8. There's an ad for the bottom right there for G8. But you get the idea. That was fun. Here's High Adventure. Again, put out by Adventure Press. These are pretty old. These are only like $6 when I bought them new. This is just a bunch of federal agent issues. Special Agent Case 67, and some short stories by some pulp writers. But the G8, if you ever get a chance, the paperbacks are really cool. They've got Jim Steranko covers, but they've also reprinted them in bigger format than this, and I have them somewhere. I should show. Death Spins a Wheel. It's an adventure. Again, it's a facsimile, and they're cool to read. Speaking of pulps, I'm on my Doc Savage run. This is the next one to read. I'm reading them in order. Doc Savage, and this one I'm getting ready to read here shortly. The Midas Man, awesome James Bama cover. Reason I say read them in order, this is supposedly number 46 as far as Bantam, when they reprinted the books, were telling you when they came out. Obviously 1 to the end, but there's actually they printed them wrong. I've said this before in a video, but anyone who might not know, they weren't put out, there's a continuity with the Doc Savage books. Small, but there is a continuity. How much he's changed from the first one to the last one. There's a continuity there. If you read them in the order of Bantam, which I used to do when I was a kid, when I first discovered the Avenger, and then it says, the Avenger was written by Paul Ernst, but the blurb on the cover said written by the creator of Doc Savage, Kenneth Robeson, which it was not written by Kenneth Robeson. They're on the Doc Savage bandwagon to get people, oh, this is by Doc, they say I do Doc Savage, and you read it. But you read the two different books, they're three completely different. But Paul Ernst wrote The Avenger. Anyway, so when I discovered Doc Savage, I would try and get, of course, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But as you read them in that order, you can tell there's something amiss. It doesn't gel. There's issues where he's fearless, and then the next one he's downing himself. He exhibits fear. His men are not around. The Hidalgo Trading Company. If you read Doc Savage, you know the Hidalgo Trading Company is where he keeps all of his equipment, supplies, aircraft, cars, and everything else is defunct. And in the next issue, they're hanging out there. So there's a continuity that Bantam didn't care about or wasn't aware of when they read. I guess they thought the best stories they wanted to get out first. I don't know. There's numerous theories about that, but got to read them in order. I found out about it through a mutual friend years ago. You got to read them in order, and what order they were in, I didn't know until I found this. It's this. It's a facsimile, not really facsimile. I'm saying mimeographed book that lists all the Street Smith characters and what order they come in. Like you got the Avenger. That's what he looks like in the Pulps. Unlike the handsome guy on the pulp covers, that's what he really looks like. And there's these two weapons there, Mike and Ike. And one's a 22, and of course one's the hollowed handled dagger that he's, precision. He's very precise with it. But there they list in order of how you should read the Avenger books, and they're more or less in order. But you got the Doc Savage stuff. Which is right here. It starts there, and it goes on through. I'm not going to bore you with all the pages, but it goes through several pages of the order that you should be reading the Doc Savage novels in, and that's how I knew. So that is one of the things that's important. If you read the Doc Savage books, you got to read them in order, and it sucks waiting. I remember I read 1 and 2, and I couldn't find Quest of the Spider, which was 69 in the Bantam reprints, and I couldn't find it forever. And my wonderful wife, found it for me through a dealer online. Which Doc Savage books are expensive, and they're rare as hen's teeth if you get in first printings. These are the paperbacks, not the pulps. And she was able to find it for me, and I got it one as part of a gift package from her, which was awesome for my birthday, along with it was a framed and matted Land of Always Night print by James Bama. But that was 69. That's how Bantam did it. But it was number 3 in actually the continuity of Doc Savage. And one of the other things that help solidify, if you're into pulps, if you're not, but you like to read about characters and you like Philip Jose Farmer, this book is just awesome. Doc Savage's Apocalyptic Life. It's just really great. He talks about how long each adventure takes, how many days it took, layouts of his of his headquarters is in here. His origin, how he relates to a bunch of other pulp characters. A timeline of his ancestry is in this. And in the back, it talks about in 1933 what stories that came out, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, all the way to 48, I think was his last adventure, 49. It lists that in order, and it lists the stories and adventures in order. So it's a great tool, and I refer to it often, and not just because it's Doc, but because it's got some great pulp history in it. And Philip Jose Farmer really went above and beyond when he did that book. There's another copy that I want of the Doc Savage's Apocalyptic Life that's got Kin Bar cover where Doc's got his vest on with hand grenades and all sorts of weapons and stuff on him. It's a great cover. I wish I had that volume as well. In other pulp books, you can see a copy of it. This was pretty cool. I found this at a little antique store. Doc Savage Inside and Out #3. I like to get all of these. This was put out in 1990 by Franklin Hamilton. But it's just a fanzine with illustrations from Doc's stories, monks on the back, nice stippling, drawing of Monk. That's how Monk looked in the pulps to the readers and stuff, and just the spot illustrations from the pulp, from what people think, from what fans are writing into. What they can draw. Some of the later pulp covers are just really bad. They're more digest size, but they were not good. Unlike the Walter Baumhofer pulp covers, equal to Bama, who did the paperback covers. So it's kind of cool. And here's Ham, one of Doc's men. He's the lawyer amongst the chemists, and they appeared the most of all the Doc books because they were the comedy relief, unfortunately. They always got on each other's nerves. They had pet animals named after. One had pet Monk had a chimpanzee, no, I'm sorry, Ham had a chimpanzee and Monk had a pig for Ham. So it's one of those comedy reliefs that Doc didn't appreciate sometimes because their banter would get in the way of what Doc really needed to do, so Doc would have to get on them sometimes, which was kind of funny once in a while. This other one I found, I think it was from the same dealer, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was. But this is another fanzine. People writing in this is #7. It's Xenophile. This might be a Doc Savage cover for Xenophile #7. It might be a Doc Savage issue because it seemed to be covering other pulps, and people put ads in there for selling pulps and everything else. I mean, even back then, Lovecraft books were going for $60 in 1974. So that's saying something. And that's another thing. This was Doc cover on this about H.P. Lovecraft books. If I just spill everything here, is that people covet them. I mean, you can't find them. When you do find them, get them because you pay a price for them. I mean, I've gotten some pretty crappy paperbacks that are just really bad shape, and they're like $15. But I get them until I can find a better copy. I don't mind them. I don't like when they're dirty. I don't like when they smell like cigarettes, or they're dirty, or they're crumbling apart, or that you can't, the glue's coming dried in the spine. I don't like that. So, but you see H.P. Lovecraft books, you have in your collection that you want to sell or trade, let me know. Because I'm always looking for H.P. Lovecraft. On to more Doc. I've never seen this before. I don't know how many they did. I haven't looked it up yet, but I need to look it up. But it's the Man of Bronze, Doc Savage. This is a Bama cover from the paperback Red Snow. But in it, it's like a small it's a comic book. Maurice Whitman did the story, and this is the Doc Savage. This is from 1979. Bantam put it out, and this is the origin story of Doc Savage from the Man of Bronze storyline. So this is kind of cool to have. Again, I've never seen this before, and at the end, it's kind of funny. There's a short quiz. Do you know these words? Can you use them in a sentence? Puny, quarry, appropriated, legacy, console, pontoons, moored, fray, and adversaries. And then you have a short quiz, which is at the end of the story. What's Doc Savage's real name? What was Hambrook's occupation? Is Hidalgo supposed to be in North, South, or Central America? There's 10 questions here. Just kind of cool. Kind of neat to have if you're a Doc fan. More things I've been reading. I've been, like I said, smelling the roses. Just reading different things. Just putting my nose in stuff that I haven't seen for a while, or I haven't finished reading. Like, there's a couple books here that I'm going to talk about that I would want to read in piecemeal, but I finally sit down and finish reading everything out in these books not too long ago. But one of the books that I talk about, I've shown on my video before, and I think I have shown this one, but I've not finished reading it, is A Golden Age Men of Mystery from AC Comics. Again, it's a hefty price tag, but you get 100... I don't know how many pages they usually say. It's like 120 pages of Golden Age comic books. And here's, which I was very happy to see, a Mad Hatter story in this, which I love. And it's a rare Golden Age book. The cover of Mad Hatter #1. Great cover. He's just dragging these two goons behind him, and he just got this maniacal looking grin on his face. Great cover. It looked like it was drawn by Don Newton, but it wasn't. But it's a great... I know there's a story in here of the Mad Hatter, because I just read it the other day. Oh, this was a good one right here. The Gray Mask and the Dove. Look at that. Great illustration. That's a great. Kind of looks like Bob Fujitani does the artwork. Suspense #8, June of 1945. Yeah, he looks kind of cool. Like Smiling Jack in the spirit together. I know there's a Mad Hatter story in this. Bear with me, folks. There's so many stories to go through. The Arrow by Paul Gustafson. Thunderbolt. Captain Freedom and the Young Defenders from Speed Comics, 34 from 1944. Again, it costs a fortune to get these books, and you can have them for 29 bucks from AC Comics if you want to check them out. The Scarab is in this from Exciting Comics 1945, art by Ken Battlefield. They used to have articles, earlier issues of this would have articles and stuff in this as well, and the letters page. Oh, there's a Mad Hatter story. John Junta, the Mad Hatter #1, January 46. It doesn't have the cover, which, look it up. Look up Mad Hatter #1. It's a great, great cover. It's a great fight scene right here. Best you can draw back in the 40s, I guess. But yeah, Mad Hatter, man, that's such a great cover. And I know there's a Hydro Man story in this somewhere. The Amazing Man story. Lou and Sam Glansman did the story from Amazing Man #12. Ajax from Doc Savage, Volume 2, #4, 1942. So you can't get these stories random. You can't go and buy them. It's just crazy. George Appel, Satan, from Suspense #8, January 45. Volto. There he is. Bob Blake, Hydro Man. Awesome Bill Everett from Heroic #5, 1941. Those are expensive comics too. I like Hydro Man. I like his look with the big fin on his head. No, I'm sorry, he didn't have a fin on his head. He got the goggles. Don't show him too much in costume in this. Yeah, he does have a fin on his head. I was right. But I think later on he gets goggles, if I'm not mistaken. I know on Regular Fellers, which he was in, I think that was Hydro Man, had a leather helmet with goggles on, if I wasn't mistaken. But that's what you get. Anyway, it's good stuff right there. Pick it up if you can. The Bill Black, who has been in fandom since fandom was fandom, puts that book out, and it's a labor of love for him. I've emailed him and I've talked to him numerous times through email. That I wish he would set up a booth at like Baltimore. Oh, speaking of Baltimore, it looks like it's a go this year. I got an email with a lot of comic artists. I shouldn't say a lot, but a few comic artists have confirmed the Baltimore dates that they're going to be appearing there. So I think if the COVID does what it's supposed to do and go away for the most part, Baltimore is a go this year. So if anyone plans to go, let me know. I'm very excited about it. But anyway, back to Bill Black. I wish he was at the table with all of his AC comic books and his reprints and his spin-offs and everything else that he's done, which would be phenomenal. But he said he barely breaks even on putting these books out. Diamond wouldn't even carry them because there wasn't enough orders for them. Which Diamond wants to, again, that's why everyone's leaving Diamond, because of the stupid rules. But it's a labor of love for him. It's a great publication. I get it. And my comic book store guy goes, "Why are you getting this? It's $29.95." And again, it's the stories that are in it. I turn on old music or old radio shows and get a coffee, and I sit there and I read it, and it's like it's 1943 all over again. Anyway, but if you get a chance to pick them up, a lot of dealers who have back issues of Golden Age Men of Mystery usually have it for like $5, and this was a $20 book. So if you can get them, get them. And if you like them, send Bill Black an email. Let him know you dig it. Another thing I was cruising through, and I really love it, is Comic Book Fever. I showed this a while back. Everyone knows who this guy is. Anyone who read comic books from the 70s. And again, it's Comic Book Fever. It's a celebration of comics from 1976 to 1986 by George Khoury. Khoury, Khoury. You can get off of Amazon, but it's just full of stuff that we grew up with from the 70s. Alice Cooper in that. Things going on in comic book industry. Dollar Size Delight. We love the dollar books. Remember those? It was better when they were 100 pages for 50 cents. I know a lot of you guys remember that. That was great. And that's when I first learned of the history of comics, not knowing it at that time, but they were, thinking the reprints were like real original stories until you saw at the side or at the bottom originally presented in, Action Comics 62 or something like that, But this thing goes all through the 70s. Star Wars comics and the spin-off of that. Just anything you could think of from the 70s. This book covers the hostess ad. Everybody Wang Chung tonight. Colorful heroes of martial arts and stuff. I know I've gone a long time on this. I'm just rambling. I'm gonna be like Gratu Orloff, just talking and just hopefully people like it. If not, let me know. Got some great artwork from X-Men 141, The Days of Future Past. A nice page of original art. I have to know how much that puppy goes for now. That was a big deal back then. But this is a fun book. It talks about everything in the 70s. You can, it's a little time machine, a little time capsule. John Romita, the art director, Marvel back then. Of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are in this. That's a big fascination with people. Remember Dynamite? Everyone read Dynamite. I don't care who you were. If you're in school back in the 70s and the early 80s, you read Dynamite. That was a prerequisite to get into all sorts of pop culture stuff, is reading Dynamite. Anyway, this is a good book. I highly recommend it. Comic Book Fever. Like I said, this guy's cool. Always sold the toys and figures and stuff in that. And then, last but not least, I'm going to hit this book. I just started reading some of this right here. Hero A Go-Go. Campy comic books, crime fighters, and culture of the swinging 60s. Which is one of my favorite characters right there, Captain Marvel. Anyone who doesn't know about him, look him up. He's awesome. He's freaking weird, campy. He can make his body parts split into a whole bunch of pieces and his head's just floating around with no body attached to it. It's crazy. But this got some crazy stuff in it. 60s. And this is, I can't believe I turned to this. I saw this on Instagram. The Mighty Hercules, #1 from 1963. I love this book. And it's from Gold Key. And I saw a guy, I forgot who had it on Instagram, but he found a beautiful copy, and I was like, yeah, that's awesome. It was a Mighty Hercules syndicated 9/1/63, 122 episodes. Love to have that book. It's very, very cool. Of course, George of the Jungle was awesome. Of course, the section on here on the Archies. The Cowsills, I did not know had their own comic book until I looked at this book a while back. And the Cowsills was a musical group. They were quite good for, kind of songs that they sang. I think Gratu Orloff mentioned the Partridge Family are based on the cow sills. I think that's what he said. He'll know more about it than I do. And it's awesome. Charlton. Of course, you already got the cool Charlton stuff in here. Teen's top comic. Go. Got some really cool stuff with the monkeys here. Which is pretty awesome. Of course, the surfing craze, that's talked about in here, and the hipster stuff, the mods. Of course, the thing wearing a beetle wig, that's classic. America's Best TV Comics. I have a high-grade copy of that. I mean, it's like brand new. It's on ABC. What came on ABC, which is kind of neat. Oh, Secret Squirrel. He's cool. Gold Key issue. Shazam. Of course, everyone loves Space Ghost. And of course, there's Secret Squirrel and Shazam. Let's get this book, and they talk about Secret Squirrel. First appearance, the Animat Secret Squirrel Show, NBC 1965, September 12th of 65. Number episodes 26. A quote, I suppose to have another daring, heroic, exciting mission cooked up for me. Rogues Gallery, Yellow Pinky, Captain Ahab, The Masked Granny, Dr. Dangit, Double X, Scuba Dooba, and High Spy. See, this is a fun book. You get all this information in here. Of course, the kick-ass Johnny Quest. Everyone likes Johnny Quest. This is very cool. But you get the gist of this book. It's kind of neat. The Herculoids. The Herculoids are awesome. Love the Herculoids. Adamant. Punching out some dude on the cover on his nose. Yeah, but that Mighty Hercules book, I'm going to, next comic show, which is May 30th, I'm going to try and go and try and score a copy of that Mighty Hercules. Hope to find it in pretty good shape. Underdogs, of course, is in here. Dick Tracy, my man Dick Tracy. And I have this album. Al Hurt with Green Hornet. Al Hurt plays all the themes to Batman, Green Hornet, but it's Van Williams with him on the cover of that, which I bought that record only like $1, and I found the original pressing, which I was very happy with that. You got like original artwork in here, and just this really cool stuff from the 60s, man. The Lost in Space, Aurora models, Will Robinson, Charlton. What did I see? I saw Charlton somewhere. There it is, Secret Agent. Yeah. Sarge Steele, Dick Giordano cover. Even Charlton's in this bad boy. Again, you guys get the gist of this. I won't keep you guys much longer, I promise. But it's called Hero A Go-Go. And the Frankenstein, the Dell stuff is awesome. Dracula, Frankenstein, Werewolf. I think they did a werewolf one. And they're like superheroes, and it's kind of funny. Artwork's atrocious, but it's still a funny book. Not supposed to be funny, but that's what makes it funny. That's about it. Again, rest in peace to David Anthony Kraft. Get yourself some Defenders or some other stuff that he wrote, and enjoy what he put down for us from back then. And that's it for me for right now. Hopefully I have something for you in a couple of days. I've been getting to my comments. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but I did the last 4 videos. I answered all the comments, which I was proud of myself. I sat on the porch and enjoyed some coffee and answered my mail. So And I appreciate the comments. I love the comments. More the merrier. If they're critical, they're critical. If they're not, great. But just put a comment down there. Before I go, if I don't know if anyone would be interested in it, but I'm taking my lead from Gratu Orlov. Again, you gotta check out his channel. He reminds me. I don't think he'll mind me saying this, but he reminds me of Big John Buscema. He looks like John Buscema, the way he's got his hair and the sideburns and everything, his goatee. Check him out. I'm telling you, he looks like John Buscema. But I'm taking a lead from him, driving around his old haunts, his old hangouts, talking about what used to be and how things were and everything else. And I'm thinking about doing the same thing in my town that I grew up in, my comic book stores and places I went to as a kid when I got comic books back in the 70s and the 80s. I don't know if anyone would be interested in that. My wife would drive while I would videotape and talk. So, and you can see the places that I used to haunt. I don't know if anyone would be interested in that. Let me know. All right, well, you guys take care and stay well, and I'll talk to you all later.